Hello, everybody, and welcome. Today, I'm interviewing someone very close and dear to my heart, a big part of my childhood, one of those guardian angels that you grow up with, Pam Machefsky. Pam has always, to me, represented somebody who is really, really able to see others and appreciate others and celebrate others. I always felt seen. I always felt like, there's always a big smile on your face, always a laugh, a chuckle, and it was just your energy's always very positive. And I did not have the gift of being in Pam Machefsky's preschool classroom, but Pam has been Mora Pam or Teacher Pam for many, 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 many years in different states
Yes.
and different
Yes.
schools and different communities and cultures and
Yes.
everything all across, and has always been known as the best teacher. You are lucky if you get into Teacher Pam's class. I would like to hear from you, Pam, if you could share with us some wisdom, maybe some tips or perspective on how is it that you managed with all, the normal stuff, whether it's misbehavior or a co-teacher that maybe is not working out so well. Consistently, there was this real celebration of the students. The parents and students in your classroom felt seen, felt supported, felt valued, and felt respected by you. And so I want to know what your trick is.
My trick was very similar to what you are doing through Nurtured Heart. I didn't believe that young children could misbehave. You said how you survived the misbehavior. I didn't believe that 2s and 3s and 4s could misbehave. They were simply growing up. They were simply exploring and doing what children do. And it was my role, I felt, to, number one, always respect them. I think I mentioned to you that I was very fortunate to have a mentor my first year teaching who said the main thing is respect the children, listen to the children, hear the children, watch the children. And I learned that from Emma Friedman, who's now gone. But, what she passed on, I'm passing on now. So first of all, I did respect the children, and I didn't believe that there was such a thing as misbehavior. And I just felt that the children needed the opportunity to find their way in what we were doing in the world. It's important to let them know that God has made a wonderful world for them. The world is for you. This is for you. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's yours. The second thing is, I very, very rarely said the word no, unless it was just a matter of life and death. I would always try to put the instructions in a positive way. I wouldn't say, oh, don't touch that. I'd say, hey, take a look over here. Redirect and try and eliminate all negatives from my conversation and my instructions. In fact, I did this with my daughter too when she was growing up. And when she was about 2.5, I guess you weren't born yet. I spent the weekend with her. And so that Ira and I could have a weekend away. And when we came back, my mother told me that they had said no to Javi. No, you can't do this. No, you can't have that. She put her hands on her hips and said, we don't say the word no in our house. And it was basically true. Of course, there were things that children couldn't do, but you had to say it in a different way. And you had to redirect, and I mean, it was just it takes a lot of effort, but you have to look at the way you phrase things and say things. No, you can't wear orange striped socks today. Instead you say, hey, look at these pink socks with the lace. Let's wear those today.
Well, I think what's most in common about what you're talking about and your approach to the approach that I teach, the Nurtured Heart approach, is what you said right off the bat, that you don't believe that kids can misbehave. And so if
Right.
what they're doing is not negative, and if what they're doing is not a problem, it's just like you said, growth, which is so brilliant, such a bombshell right there. We could have ended the recording right after that. That was just so brilliant. That then, okay, so those are the orange striped socks that you want to wear, that makes sense, whatever. Come over here,
Right.
here's the pink socks. But the energy of believing in them and valuing them, I think that really, and yeah, that they can't misbehave. That means that they're inherently good, and they're inherently learning, and they're inherently growing. That came across so clearly to me as a kid. And I think to everyone, and I think to the parents too. And actually it's funny because I remember one thing, someone was talking about you. If I remember correctly, they were in their first year teaching, and they were trying to be like Pam because and in this very simple, small way of, they were talking about how whenever parents would bring their kids to Pam, if they brought it early, the door would open at 9 o'clock, let's say, they came at 8:55, Pam was in there, the lights were on, and the place was ready, and they'd knock on the door, and Pam would poke her head out and say, "School starts at 9," and close the door and keep on going. And always with that smile, but also that confidence. I feel like there's a certain I don't know, this is a question for you again to reflect on what it is, what's your secret sauce, but there is a sense of like, I can't say no, oh my gosh, well then the kids will run the show, or then well, how will I there's a fear in that. How will I be able to be the adult? But there was a certain confidence just even in that story. Nope, school starts at but school starts at 9. You didn't have the kids stepping all over you. You wouldn't have been the successful teacher you were and are in your heart and in your being if there wasn't a sense of confidence in you. So I want to hear about that.
Well, believe it or not, I learned from all the nursery school mothers. I learned from everyone. I learned from other teachers. I learned from the nursery school parents. And you could see that the children who were happy to be in school and not worried about mommy leaving were the children whose mothers had that confidence. It's like, wow, look at this. Isn't this great? Always very positive. Not, oh, I know you're going to miss me. Oh, I'm going to miss you too. Not that, but just the opposite. That, oh, what a great classroom. Oh, look at your friends. Oh, look at the toys. Oh, you're going to have such a great time. So that approach I learned from the parents, quite frankly, from seeing how they did it, being very, very positive. And you're right, it's important to start the day that way. It's important to be that way in everything. Now, Maria Montessori said, a no is a no, and children know that. But there's a way that you can say the no without crushing the child's spirit, without making them think they've made a wrong choice, without making them think, oh, did I do something wrong? You can say it in a positive, you can say no in a positive way. And that's very important. It's very, very important.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is definitely energetic. The energy of, you said, making them feel like they broke a rule or making them feel like they did something wrong versus it just being, so in Nurtured Heart, we actually do say no with our rules. We are negative with our rules, but the energy is the positive experience, because there's so much celebration of success, and there's so much celebration, radical appreciation. So it's on everything. They're appreciated for their question. They're appreciated for the way they respond to the no. They're appreciated for all of it, because they're believed in. And that's like what I hear so much is this, like they're here, they're growing, I know Maria Montessori was into Citizens of the Classroom. No, that's Reggio. But I want to go back to what you were saying about the kids, about what what Emma, I think you said her name was, told you about
Emma
listening to the
Friedman.
kids, hearing the kids. And I want to hear a little bit more about that. You're the teacher, you have an agenda, you have a lot of kids, how does that look to listen to the kids? Because I know that the kids felt heard. That I know.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
Well, one thing that Emma had us do, and mind you, this was in the early 1970s, all teachers wore smocks with deep pockets, and we carried around little notebooks and pencils, and we wrote down what we heard the children saying. We were still with them. We were very present, but that's why we could develop our own little shorthand and have scraps and snippets, who the children played with, who they talked to, what they liked, what they didn't like. And it really helped to write it down when this was my first year teaching. And it really helped me to focus on the children, to really hear the children, and to understand that my agenda wasn't nearly as important as what the children needed and wanted from nursery school. And it's kind of the same way at home, quite frankly. You have your agenda, and of course you do. You have so much to get done in a day. You have more than one child. And maybe you're even working outside of the home or inside the home, running a business from inside the home. But you still have to listen to what your child is saying, and what your child is doing. You have to watch what they're doing, listen to what they're saying. It's
Yeah.
not easy.
No. And you know what, Pam, that also plays into a huge piece of the nurtured heart approach with the time in versus the time out, where
Mm,
the negativity, the rule breaking, the aggression
mhm.
will always be loud enough to get us out of our
Yes,
business and out of our to-do list and out of
they're they're
our,
going to get our
and so,
attention.
yes. And so unless we can be conscious and attentive enough before they have to, if what you're saying you did by watching those kids and writing down what they're saying, there are so many meaningful interactions happening. They don't need to fight to get your attention. Your attention was there already. They had you fully. You were writing down the words they were saying. And I think also from the parents' perspective, coming to school and hearing meaningful feedback on what their kids had said, that is a classroom that I want to leave my kid in, because I know the teacher is looking out at my kid. It's like, when a parent comes and says, what did my kid do today? And it's like, well, she didn't need her cherries, like, well, I don't know about her cherries, but what, she wasn't listening in circle time. What else is there? Like, is there anything else?
Yes,
But we need
yes.
that intentional presence to be aware and present enough to recognize all that's happening, to have this kind
Yeah,
of right side up connection where you don't need to
yeah.
fight for me to see you because I'm already seeing you. So that to me that's it right there. Those kids felt seen, those kids felt heard because you were really
They
there
were.
listening, and because you
Right.
really,
And of course, you could be a part of that conversation too. I can remember a 4-year-old boy who was at snack table and said to his friend, you know, some people may not like this, but you learn to fly after you die. Well, what I came to discover was that he was talking about angels, and that there had been a death in the family, in his family, which his parents didn't share with us because it was a distant great aunt or something, and now she's in heaven. Now she's an angel in heaven. She'll be watching over you. And this is exactly what this little boy meant. And by talking to him as he was talking to his friend, by being a part of the conversation, being able to write it down, I could find out exactly what was going on. It was just so touching. And when his mother came to pick him up that day, I said, have you had a death in the family? And she said, yes. Did Danny tell you that? And I said, not exactly, but he told me about angels. And we extrapolated from there. And you're right. It was very, very meaningful to that mother to know that her son had absorbed what she had said, and now he was sharing it with others. And it made an impression on him. Sometimes we have no idea does it go in one ear and out the other when we're talking to our children? But to hear a teacher or another friend or another mom say, hey, your child was talking about this and that today. It's I know because it happened to me. Your mother used to do it with my daughter. I used to do it with you, to your mother. And it's very heartwarming, and it just makes us all closer. And it's that special bond
There's a
that people really
safety.
need.
There's a safety and security in being seen and knowing that you're being looked out for. Someone's got your back, so you can relax and be a
Right,
kid. And a mom can
right.
relax and be a mom and go be or to go do be a businesswoman, while her kids are
Yes,
at school, because there's someone who's got her kids back. But a prerequisite for that, right, is that I need to not use the opportunity of the kids sitting and eating lunch to run and check my email or run and quickly
exactly.
put in my order
Exactly.
online because everyone's quiet. So this is a good moment, or everyone's getting along. This is a good moment because this is the moment to be here. Because if
Yes,
I'm not here in this moment,
exactly.
I won't hear about the angels. I won't hear about the wings. I won't hear the
Right.
interactions. I won't hear the talking. All I'll hear is, and then boom, I'm here. But what about everything and that presence and connection that everyone's seeking? And that security and feeling seen happens by being there
Right.
in those
Mussi,
moments when things are going well.
it reminds me of when I moved from California, where I felt that the teachers were very engaged and involved with their children during the school days. I moved from California to New Jersey, and I became a director of a small nursery school in New Jersey. And the first thing I noticed was recess time. The teachers sat on a bench. There were benches on the playground. Teachers sat on benches and talked to each other. Whoa. The first thing I did was have the benches removed. Because I told them I'm taking out the benches because you really need to be with the children on the playground. The large motor is a very important part of the day, and you really need to be with the children. And if you need a bathroom break, let me know. If there's an emergency with your child, let me know. But this is not a time to sit and talk to your co-teachers about the latest Broadway show you saw. I wasn't terribly popular that first year with the teachers, but I'm happy to say the older teachers came to like it. The younger teachers thought it was terrific. And that's what it needs to be. You're at school
And,
for the children.
and, what did that then bring back? What was the return of that investment? Like what, and how, I asked you this question when we were chatting earlier. I said, what motivated you to stay? I'm sure other teachers weren't as present. I'm sure you had many opportunities where you could have not been as present and as involved all throughout the years and all the different cultures with all the different staff and all the different students. What motivated you to hold yourself to that standard of being so present? And I loved your
The
answer.
children,
Yeah.
the children themselves, it was extremely gratifying. And even the teachers who kvetched about my removing the benches saw that. They got a closer relationship with the children, and they enjoyed it more. And they found that the physical exercise energized them for the rest of the day. Just you can just sit and collapse, but the movement, the actual physical movement that they did with the children, the swings, the balls, the um everything moving around, really energized their morning, and they found that they had more energy. And that was good feedback. You see, you get that positive feedback, right, from the
Yes.
teachers, and
Yes.
you
And I'm
go,
sure there was,
oh, yes, yes, I was right about this. Yes, okay, good.
yeah. And then I'm sure there was the feedback of having, a waiting list for your class every year, I'm sure. And everyone wants Teacher Pam, and the kids are better behaved and more involved. And there's something to that. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, it was, it is very gratifying and reinforcing. exactly.
Yeah. So, so I'd like to ask you one more question before we close, to leave with
Okay.
teachers. If you could, if there's someone out there who feels inspired about, being present and having this type of culture in the classroom where you're really, watching and looking and involved, but it's just not the culture around them, and it isn't being
Mhm.
supported and reinforced by anybody else, and everyone's sitting out on the bench, and they're the only one on the playground, and it's
Good
disheartening, and
That's
it's
a very good metaphor. Yes.
yeah, and it's disheartening, and it's hard to, if you could speak to, what would you want them to hear? What would you want to tell them?
You're doing the right thing. You don't need to sit on the bench. You're there with the children, and you're going to be the one who gets love letters from the kids. You're going to be the one that they hug the most. You're going to be the one, the parents will know. The parents will know who's invested in the children, and who's really spending time with the children. So yeah, make sure that you're doing the right thing. Keep doing it, and you'll see results before you know it.
Yes. And Pam is such a testament to that. So thank you for coming on and
Well,
sharing some of your wisdom.
thank you for all the kind words, Mussi.
Aw,
It's really delightful to hear. And
aw.
I follow all your Nurtured Heart podcasts, and I'm always thrilled when so much of it has been my philosophy. I didn't even know it was a philosophy, and now it's a really, really good program. And I think it's very wise that young parents take a program like this, because sometimes your life just overwhelms you, and you just get into a rut, and you have to stop and learn. You just have to stop and learn what Dr. Bruno Bettelheim called the life space interview. Make a space in your life to get it right.
Hmm.
It's your only life. Do it right.
Yes, well, I am going to accuse and recognize all of those people who are watching or listening to us right now that they are doing that, Pam. They have paused their life for the past sure how many minutes to listen to us chat about preschool and nurtured heart and presence. And so you are living a life that is aligned with um, higher purpose and getting it right and being intentional and proactive and taking that
Right.
initiative to
Yeah.
put yourself in the best.
There's a meaning and a joy. You may not see it right away, but you will see it soon enough. And
Yeah.
it'll stay with you your whole life.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
And you'll have all your little, I don't know, they're angels. I don't know what the right word is, but all those little sparks that you ignited all around, all around you, all throughout the interactions you've had in and out of the classroom, that will always have that to look back at and feel that
Mussi,
smile in your heart.
I'm still in touch with many of my children. Thank goodness for the internet. You and I were in Silicon Valley when it was invented. Um, I have nursery school children who are becoming grandparents, if you can believe it.
Oh my
Isn't it great?
goodness. You will always and forever be Teacher Pam. I'm so glad
Thank
that
you.
we got a little glimpse of you here and your wisdom. And I will
Thank you.
see
Thank you
you
for
next
inviting me.
time.